Be quiet. Nothing of the sort will happen. Well, we will speak of this a year hence at the very outside. I have no turn for anything of the sort, Judge Brack. No duties which... Oh, be quiet, I tell you. I often think there is only one thing in the world I have any turn for. And what is that, if I may ask? Boring myself to death. Now you know it.
Yes, Albert. Would you, shouldn't you, eh? But Tessman, if Mr. Lovberg would really rather not, I'm sure Mr. Lovberg is much more inclined to remain here and have supper with me. With you, Mrs. Tessman. And with Miss Elfstead. Oh, I saw her this morning. Did you? Well, then she's coming this evening. So you see, you are almost bound to remain. Mr. Lovberg, he will have no one else. We have plenty of time yet. None of my guests will arrive before 7 or half past. Then meanwhile we can keep Hedda company and see what happens, eh? And the worst of Mr. Lovberg can remain here with me.
What is that, if I may ask? Boring myself to death. Now you know it.
Yes, Albert. Would you, shouldn't you, eh? But Tessman, if Mr. Lovberg would really rather not, I'm sure Mr. Lovberg is much more inclined to remain here and have supper with me. With you, Mrs. Tessman. And with Miss Elfstead. Oh, I saw her this morning. Did you? Well, then she's coming this evening. So you see, you are almost bound to remain. Mr. Lovberg, he will have no one else. Eilert Lovberg enters from the hall. He is slim and lean and of the same age as Tessman, but looks older and somewhat worn out. His hair and beard are a blackish brown, his face long and pale, but with patches of color on the cheekbones. He is dressed in a well-cut black visiting suit, which is quite new. He has dark gloves and a silk hat. He stops near the door and makes a rapid blow. Seeming somewhat embarrassed, Tessman says, "Well, my dear Albert, so when was the last we speak again? Thanks for your letter, Tessman. Will you, too, shake hands with me, Mrs. Tessman? I'm glad to see you, Mr. Lovberg." With a motion of her hand, "I don't know whether you two gentlemen, Judge Brack, I think." "Oh, yes, in the old days." "And now you must make yourself entirely at home, Albert. Hasn't he, Hedda? For are you going to settle in town again, eh?"
Of course. Why, my dear Albert, does it come down to our own days? Yes, it does. And this one deals with the future. With the future? But good heavens, we know nothing of the future. No, but there is a thing or two to be said about it all the same. Look here. Why, that's not your handwriting. I dictated it. It falls into two sections. The first deals with the civilizing forces of the future, and here is the second, forecasting the probable line of development. How odd now. I should never have thought of writing anything of the sort.